Mr. President, I move that the amendments be determined to be specific and severable, and speaking that motion.
Senator, has the floor.
Mr. President, in 1994, those of you that were here with me remember that we, in the Constitution of Virginia, solved a problem. And the problem, Mr. President, was that we were getting amendments and substitutes sent down from the governor, and they were packaged together in such a way that they were not specific and severable. To remedy that problem, the Senate and the House proposed a constitutional amendment in 1994 that cured that problem and gave to this body and the more numerous body the capability to determine for itself whether or not amendments are specific and severable. Mr. President, my concern, I make no mistake about it, is that I am concerned that we have an amendment within the block, which is item number 57. In some of your reports, it may be item number 2, that calls for an investigation of sorts in the parole board. Mr. President, I would ask the clerk's office if they would distribute an amendment that is available, that is item number 1, section 1-1, so that individuals can have that on their desk. Mr. President, the desire here is that we would have the opportunity to find that these amendments are not specific and severable, and that gives us the latitude and capability with our constitutional powers to cure the problem in item number 2. Mr. President, many of you have listened and heard, as there have been many reports about the parole board, the Office of Inspector General, the determination by the governor or the chief of staff has berated members of the Inspector General's office, that an employee that was given some accommodation and bonus was 8 months later fired for producing some reports. We don't have all the facts there. There are disturbing emails, Mr. President, that show that individuals involved determined among themselves that they were, quote, drunk with power, and some, as it related to probation, wanted more and more and more names before our time runs out. Mr. President, you take all of those items, and what we've heard from His Excellency, and we're grateful to have heard, we understand, and we want an independent investigation. An independent investigation. So what did we get? What we got in item 57, item 2, number 57, is the most limiting potential investigation that you could possibly have. And then it's deemed, in the language, an independent investigation. Let's look at what is in that language. One, there's $250,000, which no explanation of where and why the money is $250,000 or up to. Number 2, it says that we will only investigate the parole board's investigation of the Vincent Martin case, not the many, many other cases that have been subject of concern. I was shocked to see in there that there was no bipartisan representation on the investigation whatsoever. The governor wants to investigate himself. He wants the Attorney General, which changed or purportedly changed the 13-page report to closer to a 6-page report, wants to be the selector. But there is not one Republican, not anyone in opposition that's allowed anywhere near this investigation. And I got to tell you, I struggled with this next one, and that is this. Because of the location of item 57, you ask yourself, why is it under item 57? There's a reason. Because all of this money in item 57 is paid for out of the Attorney General's office. Therefore, the Attorney General gets to involve himself in the contract for those people that are going to investigate them. So item 57 was a careful decision. It wasn't in the legislative powers. It wasn't in the general appropriation. Those of you that are in finance understand how all that works. It matters where it goes. It was put into that particular section. It appears, from all indication, being in item 57, that the Attorney General will actually sign the contract with the individuals that's going to investigate. Now, Mr. President, what would be available to us, and I just wanted to, in all fairness, provide it to you, is an opportunity for us, if we vote that the items are not specific and severable, that the bill will go directly back to committee. I've informed the chairman that we were going to do this, and then the committee, the chair could hold a meeting. We could mold it immediately. We could bring it back to the floor. We could suspend the rules. I would encourage that we do suspend the rules, and we could have a new item 57. What would the new item 57 potentially be? It would be something that would be very, very clear and something you would recognize. It would say that the Honorable Chairman of the Rules Committee would appoint 8 members, Democrats. The Minority Leader would appoint 7 Republicans, most likely. It would require that all the meetings be held in sunshine. It would require that our subpoena power, which is available to us, be made available to the committee. It would give an end date. The end date would be September the 15th, and the funds that would be required would be very, very minimal. It would also open up the investigation to find out what happened in all the other cases, not just the Vincent Marchand case, which has nothing to do with the statements of drunk with power, nothing to do with giving me more and more names. It would give us a true look at the laws that could have been violated and the policies and procedures that were ignored. And that's something that I think that we should want to know. Now, what would happen after this? If we did this, it would go back to the House of Delegates. They would accept it. And some of you may say, well, the House of Delegates is not involved in the investigation. Good news is that under the way the Constitution works, it anticipates that. It anticipates that by allowing us to go into a committee of conference, and then if we wanted to give the House some and give the Rules Committee chair and others the opportunity to appoint members, we could get that done. We can get it done, and we can get it done today. Now, some of you may say, that's inconvenient. We might be here for an hour or two, and you're right. But I think that this is something that we should do, not because it's convenient, but because we deserve to know. Mr. President, so that's the reason for my motion, that we find that the amendments are not specific and severable. I have made the motion that they are, but I would ask that you vote no on those items. Mr. President, I would like to yield to the senator from Spotsylvania who assisted in the drafting of some of the items.
Thanks, Senator. Prior to the Senator from Northern Fairfax, Senator Howe.
Mr. President, I am not an expert on procedure, and I know I'm very aware of that. But I do have a parliamentary inquiry.
Senator's floor.
Is not the motion before us my motion that the amendments be placed in a block, and that if any senator desired to remove them from a block, he could do so after the clerk called the number? And if that is the case, is this not premature?
Mr. President, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Mr.
I
President.
can either answer, or the senator want to.
Mr. President, I will wait for your answer, sir.
Okay. I was just going to note that Senator Newman's motion would be a substitute motion to Senator from Northern Fairfax, Senator Howe's motion. So that's
you.
where we would stand there.
Okay, thank you.
Mr.
Thank you,
President.
Senator. Senator from Bedford, Senator Newman.
Mr. President, I just want to make one point before I yield to the gentleman from Spotsylvania. I would never be disrespectful to the chair, and in fact, this is the only way to do it, because if we vote on one of these amendments, this motion is not available to us anymore. So that Tara has said we got to do it this way. Also, you could ask, well, why don't we just get out of this and ask the honorable chair of the Rules Committee to do this? And the reason is because the Constitution says we can't do that either, because today is only about these items, and so we don't have those options available, Mr. Chairman. So that's the reason why I've made the motion. So, Mr. President, with your ability, I would like to yield to the gentleman from Spotsylvania, sir.
Thank the Senator.